Watercolor background ideas. In this video I'm going to be showing you one of my favourites, and we're going to be using this masking tape. If we haven't met before, my name is Michelle, and on this channel you'll find art tips and techniques, business and social media training for artists, so please do subscribe. It's free, and if you hit the little bell notification you'll get notified every time I have a new video for you. Now this week I've been teaching botanical painting at a beautiful private gardens, and goodness, I got some absolutely fabulous photographs, so I'll be turning lots of them into paintings. And I'm going to start with this this photograph I took of the most beautiful iris. So as you can see from the photograph, the iris is very crisp. You know, the photographs come out with a very crisp flower, and the background is a little bit more blurred, and that sometimes happens by accident in photographs. Goodness knows I'm absolutely no photographer, always set on auto, but sometimes you'll have noticed that professional photographers do this too. Now it's something that you can also use in your watercolor paintings, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to show you how to make a background that contains kind of shapes that could or could not be something. So kind of semi-abstract shapes that might be leaves, might be other flowers, might be something else. And we're going to be using masking tape, so I'm going to point my camera downwards now and show you how it's done. So now we're looking down at my drawing board, and you can see that I've already put a loose watercolor background in. So don't panic about this. If you're thinking to yourself, well, you've skipped ahead and I don't know how to do this at all, I've made a couple of videos for you, so I'm going to put them up in the information cards at the top of the screen in a moment. Now don't worry, if you click on those you won't go off of this video, it'll just line them up so that you can watch them afterwards. So I've got a couple of specific videos about this particular technique. I've got a video on wet into wet watercolor, and I've got another one about putting a loose background around a flower painting. So there's plenty of information that will show you how to do this part. The reason I've already done it is because I wanted the paper and the paint to be dry. So looking at the original photograph, I want to get these these leaf type shapes, but I don't want anything too solid. Now the thing with masking tape is that the paint will leak under the edges of it, and if you tear that masking tape the paint will leak under even more. So that's what we're going to do today. So what I'm going to do is, it's almost a bit like a printmaking method. I do a lot of printmaking, so, or at least I don't do much at the moment, but I've done lots of printmaking in the past, and some of the techniques with watercolour kind of are a bit of a crossover to printmaking. So what we're going to do is we're going to mask out some leaf shapes with torn masking tape, and we're going to put darker colours on top. Now, one thing you must be very careful of with masking tape is you don't just take it like this and stick it to your paper, because it is far too sticky and it will tear your paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, when I take a piece of masking tape, I'm going to stick it to my clothing. You know, stick it to your trousers, whatever, anywhere that you can, any fabric that will pick up some lint. And I don't just mean once or twice, I mean you need to reduce the sticky on this tape by about 50%. So you're going to take it and stick it against your fabric again and again until it's about half the amount of stickiness. So I've prepared my tape so it's less sticky. The other thing that you want to be careful of is the surface must be bone dry. Don't try and do this if your paper's still damp, because you will come unstuck. So a lot of watercolour techniques have to be done fairly quickly, but you really must be patient in letting certain things dry, and this is one of those times this background needs to be dry. So if you're tempted to fiddle with it, go off, have a cup of tea, or even leave it till the next day, and then you're ready to start. So I've got my flower shape drawn, got my loose background in, that's dry. Now I kept the colours fairly light because you can see I want light colours against a darker background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut and tear some shapes. I'm not going to go over the flower because the paint tends to follow the tape along, so I'm going to sort of cut around. So what I'm going to do is rather than just trying exactly to cut the shape of the flowers, which would probably never work, I can just cut some sort of vaguely curved edges, and then I want the edges of these shapes to be torn. The reason I'm cutting the first bit is because that's the bit that's going to go up against the edge of the flower. And then once I've got some kind of shape that's reminiscent of one of those long leaves, there we go, and it's got a sharp edge here on this cut edge, tape sticking to my fingers, Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just place this, I'll find a place where the, things are fairly straight, like here, or curved if I've cut a curved edge, and then I'm just going to place that there and stick it down. I'm not going to press it too hard, I want it to stick fairly lightly. So there we are, I've got sort of some kind of leaf type shape there, and I've got a nice straight edge where it hits the flower. Now I'm not going to make you watch for 25 minutes while I do this, so I'm going to get on and do all of these shapes, and then I'll bring the camera back again. Here we are back looking at my painting, and as you can see, I've put lots of masking tape on it. So as I said, I've torn the edges. Just tip that forward a little bit so you can see this side here. So I've got these shapes here which are sort of tall, sort of thin leaf shapes. But then also when I was looking at the original photograph, I noticed some rounder shapes as well. Now I took this photograph myself, so there's nothing wrong with me copying it to a point of photorealism if I wanted to. I could certainly do that, but actually that's not what I want. I want it just to be a bit more interesting, and if I'm going to make a painting, well, let's make the most of the properties of the watercolor. So I've put these pieces of masking tape here. Now the only two colors I've used so far on this painting are cadmium yellow light and tropical phthalo blue. So the cadmium yellow light is Talon's Rembrandt colour, and the tropical phthalo blue is an SAA colour. I'll put links to the colours I'm using below. So I'm going to stick with those colours as I go in. Now I know that later on I'm probably going to use my Talon's Rembrandt Permanent Blue Violet. Now if I put violet into green, I'll get some kind of grey. So rather than sort of add grey for the darks to this, I'm going to use that violet. I'm going to drop a little bit of that in as I paint. So you might be wondering why I'm doing the background first on this painting. It's usually, especially with things like portraits and still life and small things like this, it's usually a good idea to put your background in first. So I've got the masking tape stuck down. The paint will go under the edges of it, but really that's what I'm planning anyway for this. I'm just going to move that up a little bit so you can see it. And then we're going to go in. So I'm going in with the same colours I've already gone in before, but I'm just going to be a little stronger with them, because what we want is these light colours that I've put in there being reserved under the tape. So rather than mixing colours separately on my palette, I'm going to do my wet into wet technique and pop those directly onto the paper. So we're getting those lovely, interesting blended colours, and I'm going to just work my way around the whole painting like this. So let's go back to a bit more yellow. You can always put yellow and blue directly onto the paper. Where they meet you will get green. Physics suggests that this is the case, and chemical composition suggests that this is the case. There's no way that you'll end up with anything else, so you don't have to panic if it goes bright yellow or goes bright blue. Just put a bit of the other colour on and blend it along. So I'm going to drop a little bit of the purple in here just so that we get, there you are, you see what happens when the purple hits the green. You'll get some kind of neutral appearing, a brown or a grey, and it's just going to give a bit of definition to those areas. I want to be careful, I want to think carefully about where I'm going next to the flower. If the flower is light in the area I'm going on, then I want to go dark. Other way around as well. So I'm going to make sure that I'm preserving this tonal contrast. Now this background that I'm putting here, this second layer, it does not have to be a done deal. I can just keep working on as many layers. I could, whilst I'm doing this, I could combine with other techniques. I could throw some salt on top of it while it's wet, or there's a multitude of other techniques. Equally, I could let it dry and then see what it needed. I could go on top with some crisp edged shapes by going onto dry paper. So that's what I'm looking at now. Just going to continue working around these remaining areas. So I will skip ahead in a minute so you don't have to watch another half an hour of me doing this, but just to show you a little bit more, we're placing those colours in, and I'm going slightly darker than the first layer because we want to we want to reserve those lights underneath the masking tape. And you can already see where the paint's seeping under a little bit, but that's just going to give us some nice, interesting effects. I'm not going to go too close to the flower here with the purple because the flower's going to be purple, so we want to be able to see the difference between the background and the foreground. Although I've got literally dozens, nearly 50 colours at the moment, probably more in my studio, I'm going to stick to just, you know, 3, 4, 5 colours in this painting so that we get that lovely limited palette, so everything sort of hangs together nicely and tones together. So I'm going to get on now and continue painting this flower, and then I'll put the camera back on and show you the results of painting this background in a minute. And here we are back on my drawing board. As if by magic, I've done all the painting of the background. So you can see that I'll move this forward a bit. You can see I've gone into various different colours here. I've got some, let's tip this up a bit, I've got some purple going on here. But as it's mixed with the green, it's just kind of neutralised it a little bit. We don't want it competing with the bright purple of the flower. As I moved up to the top of the painting, then I put more blues in because maybe we'll get an impression, you know, often at the top of a painting it's a good idea to have an impression that there might be a bit of blue sky peeking through somewhere. So what I need to do with this now is to let it dry. It doesn't have to be 100% bone dry before I take this tape off, but I don't want it smudging, I don't want it tearing the paper, and I don't want to sort of mess up the technique I've done. So I'm going to let it dry in the studio. It'll take probably about half an hour before it's okay for me to take the tape off. So I'll stop the camera for a bit, we'll come back and do that. Before I do that, I just want to point out, look here, I've made a bit of a mess here, got all excited and went over my my petal. Must be the weather, must be the sunshine making me a bit excited there. So what I'll have to do later on is lift this green off the petal before I paint it. Now that's not as hard as it might seem. I have actually got a video on removing watercolour mistakes. I'm going to put that up at the end of this video, so you'll be able to click on that and see 10 different ways of altering and removing mistakes from watercolours even after they've dried, because lots of people show you how to avoid mistakes as you go along. I'm going to show you how to get rid of them even after the paint's dried, so do stay to the end so you can see that video too. So just a little bit of a mistake there. Don't expect to make any kind of painting without making mistakes as you go along. I'm going to turn the camera off now for about half an hour. I'll bring it back and I'll show you how to remove that tape. It's important that you watch until then and that you actually learn how to remove the tape and don't just pull it off, because there's a way of lifting it that will keep your paper from tearing. Right, so now my painting's dry enough to start removing the tape. So what I'm going to do is just get sort of a fingernail under the edge here. If you haven't got fingernails, it may be worth just getting a scalpel knife very carefully. And what I'm going to do is start lifting. Now it's really important that I don't rip this off because it will still tear the paper. And the other thing I'm going to do, and this is the same for masking fluid, is I'm going to remove it at a low angle, by which I mean I'm pulling the tape as horizontal as I can get to the paper and not lifting it up like this. That also, and pulling it slowly, will ensure that you don't tear your paper. And I'm just going to keep very gently lifting this tape off, as I said, keeping it at that low angle. Now you can see, because they had torn edges, these pieces, the paint has seeped under the edge and given this lovely ragged effect. Now you can, if you're wondering what would happen if you cut the tape rather than tore it, you can get sharper edges certainly, but you will still get some seepage underneath, because masking tape is not a way of completely stopping your paint from hitting the paper. Now masking fluid would do that, but if you put masking fluid over large areas like this, you are likely to rip the paper when it comes off. But I really I don't want specific shapes here. I just want to get that sort of rough idea that there's stuff growing on there. So I'm going to skip the camera ahead now and show you when everything is taken off. Right, so I've taken the tape off, and you know what, I'm pretty darn pleased with that. So I'll move this this up and down so the camera can see all of it. So we've got these lovely dark tones. You see how I left these these lighter areas here, and that they really start to show up when you put the dark around them. So I'll move up as well so you can see. I'll also, in a second, I'll drop in a picture of the whole finished background. So couldn't be happier with that really. It's gone really well. I've got some lovely effects there. Don't forget, I've done all of this with just 3 colours, so these are, you know, working with this limited palette works really well. Now, I can't say for sure I won't go into another colour with the flower, but it's possible that I might not even need to. If you'd like to see the finished painting, then do pop over to my Facebook group. It's the same as this YouTube channel in that it's called In the Studio with Michele Webber. If you pop over there, you'll be able to see my paintings progressing step by step. Also chat to other amateur artists and share your own work too. So do let me know in the comments below if you're going to give this technique a go, or if you've already tried it before. And masking tape can actually be used for lots of things, including correcting your mistakes. If you'd like to see a video on how to do that, I'll put one up here for you right now.